We're supposed to be in the land of the free and the free market and a capitalist society. There is nothing free market about being a songwriter, not in the United States.
All right, ladies and gents, gather round. We got value going once, truth going twice, sold for a song. That's right, folks. Rights signed away, data given away, pennies on the play, publishing gone, credit missing, ownership kiss it goodbye. 50 pages of catch-22s, no dice. You can't eat a like, a follow, or a view. Sold for a song. But wait now, hold your bits, hold your breath. Here comes the truth louder than the bass line. Time to take it back, where the artists rise, the system shakes, and the silence finally breaks.
Welcome to Sold for a Song, the transformative podcast that dissects the music industry's long-standing practice of undervaluing its most essential contributors. Yes, we're talking songwriters and artists. In each episode, we'll delve into the journey of recognizing and elevating the true worth and value of music creators, discover how the industry has exploited creators, and learn actionable strategies to revolutionize this trend and take control of your career. Hello, podcast land. I'm Terrence Sawchuk, but you can call me Terry. After 30 plus years in the trenches of the music industry, trust me, I've seen it all. The highs, the heartbreaks, and the resilience it takes to succeed as a creator. Here's what I've learned. Awakening your self-worth, owning and leveraging your value, and streamlining the process to free up the time we need to do what we most love to do, which is create. That's what stands between you and the freedom we're all chasing. All right, before we dive in, if you believe in empowering artists and redefining what it means to thrive creatively, do me a favor, subscribe, leave a quick review, and share this episode with someone who truly needs it. That one click helps more than you know. And if you want to go deeper, join me at terrencesawchuk.com to be a part of the community and follow all of my endeavors for exclusive content and updates. Hello, podcast land. Here we are. It is our Thanksgiving special. Yes, we are a few days off from Thanksgiving here in the United States, and I wanted to use this episode to give thanks to the actual music fans. I've been getting some wonderful feedback from listeners who are not in the music industry, but just really enjoying the podcast and the content and getting that kind of behind the curtain view of the industry in a way that they don't normally get. So I really appreciate the feedback. And I wanted to sort of dedicate this episode to all of you and talk a little bit more about the bridge or bridging the artists and the fans. So we're used to hearing the conversation about whatever, how artists are getting screwed over and how Spotify is making too much money and Live Nation is dwarfing everyone. I think what's important is to understand the kind of the role of both. I mean, the fan is here's the thing. They're both looking for connection. Fans want a connection, artists want a connection. But in a lot of cases, it's the middle men or the gatekeeper or the intermediaries that can make or break that experience. Here's an example. Live Nation is an example. You know, we've got skyrocketing ticket prices, ticket fees, the parking near stadiums is insane. So, the fan needs to understand a few things. Live Nation has exclusive booking rights or an equity interest in almost 400 venues and 137 festivals globally. And that's just as of 2024, and they're buying them up every year. In the United States alone, they own and operate about 150 venues. They are Ticketmaster. They are the ticket agency. The United States DOJ has them in an antitrust lawsuit for operating an illegal monopoly. The parking in the area. Often they're getting a cut of the artists' endorsements and their t-shirts and all of their merch, to a point where artists started kicking up a fuss saying, you shouldn't be getting a cut of our merchandise. So Live Nation did something interesting and went around and just purchased artist management companies. So with one company comes an entire roster. So that move gives them a cut of all of the income of those artists. They've also moved into purchasing a controlling share of the music tour buses. So they are, the closest thing that we have to a monopoly in the music industry companies like them, they have one motive, and that's to control the market share. So the fans, you don't really give crap about any of that stuff. You just want to be able to go see the artist that you like, have it be somewhat affordable, and have an enjoyable experience. Well, sometimes it's the people in the middle that are making the problem. Sometimes it's the actual artists that are cranking up their prices or mismanaging their businesses or getting bad advice from their management to crank up their prices. For whatever reason, you end up paying for it, and that's not good. So let's talk about some of the misconceptions on the fan side about how money is made by artists and songwriters and musicians. So as an example, on, we'll say Spotify, if a song is streamed 1 million times, the songwriters will share, and this is if they get paid. But let's just say they are getting paid. I mean, they are fortunate if, say, 2 or 3 people wrote that song. They are fortunate if they see a few $100s from those 1 million streams. The master recording owner, usually the record label, on the other hand, they will earn probably more in around $4,000 for those 1 million streams. Now, this is a very complicated topic, but I just want you to know the basics. So this used to be, if we go back to like CDs and you sold 1 million copies, the songwriter, say 3 songwriters on one song, with the mechanical royalty rate on 1 million selling song, or if your song was on an album that sold 1 million copies, I mean, they would split around $90,000 US. It used to be a healthy income if you had a song on a hit record and it's not even a single. Speaking of singles, when a song is a single and it goes to radio and becomes a hit and gets, a lot of airplay, let's say it reaches the top 40, they're going to see a significant amount of money there. And if it's not a single, then you're back to that previous amount. Nowadays, the 90,000 is now hundreds of dollars. And yes, they can stream it more forever and that kind of thing, but we have to go back and find out why it is the way it is. So the major labels historically didn't make any money from radio play. The songwriters did, but not the record labels. So when streaming came along, first things first, the major labels wouldn't allow Spotify into the United States until they got a share of the company. Then they also got an advance. I think it was somewhere in the range of $50 million each. The major labels got from Spotify, of which none of that money made it to the actual artists. So they just kept that bonus, gave Spotify the rights, and then they changed the earnings, the lion's share, to become the record label when it comes to streaming. So that's where we are now. There are no, but you can still obviously sell CDs and LPs, and they do sell extremely well. And in some genres, that's all they're doing, and they're making great money at it. So if you think people aren't making money from CDs and cassettes and LPs, I mean, they are. And most people don't own a record player, CD player, or a cassette player. They just buy these things for the novelty. Okay, what else are we going to cover? Okay, what artists don't want, and what I think the fans think they want, is, go and stream their song as much as they can, or drop a heart emoji, or a share on Instagram, or a like on TikTok. It's good just for attention. You can't cash any of these things at a bank. You're being leveraged by TikTok, Instagram. You are the product. The artist is the product, and the fan is the product, because they're using all of our information to sell advertising. Speaking of advertising, some artists are making a fortune from advertising on Facebook and YouTube. The only problem is you're at the mercy of that social media site and their advertising rates. If that site shuts down, wouldn't it be better if everybody came to your website and they were able to bring you value and leverage their own music directly? So again, this is where the middleman comes in and makes the lion's share. I try to tell artists, like, social media and Spotify and Apple and DSPs, these nowadays, the way that you're being paid should be used as a business card. just like a billboard on the highway. Don't even expect to make money from them. You want to bring people to your website, your own kind of home base, and give fans a direct experience. And that's actually what the artists are looking for. They want real feedback. They want to hear the stories and how the music is affecting their fans. They want to hear your voice. They want to connect with you. Same thing with the fans. They want this connection. Obviously, they wouldn't travel to go see somebody live, pay this enormous amount of money to go to live concerts and buy the merch, etc. So it's almost like you two need to get together and have a direct relationship and know that that's what each side is looking for, and to sidestep as much as you can any intermediary. So what does that look like? As a fan, you can show up to somebody's website and get a hi-fi quality WAV file, autographed copy of their LP, packaged together with a t-shirt or whatever, and you're actually going to get something for your money. Now, that artist might sell that download of their album, or just a digital download. It might be $10. Well, we just found out that 1 million streams as the songwriter on a major label, by the way, is getting maybe in the hundreds of dollars if they're lucky. Don't forget, a publisher is usually taking 50% of their income. So if, say, they are lucky enough and $500 comes in, 3 songwriters are going to split that. Oops, not yet. The publisher takes their 50%. The remaining is their balance. So this is why we are at a place where being an independent artist is such a powerful thing, because now you are the owner of your master recordings, if you're smart, and you're getting the lion's share. So now it's possible that you could make the $4,000 on 1 million streams if you own your masters. But the DSPs don't really pay per stream in the same way radio doesn't pay per play. It's a messed up system. The short version of it is, as an example, Spotify will just have a pool of money and they'll just divide it up based on market share. So kind of in the same way that, restaurants and music clubs have to pay a music license to the PROs like ASCAP or BMI or SOCAN. They have to pay for the use of that music. Well, how does anybody know what songs were played in that bar? So they don't. So they say, it was probably a Beatles song. So we're just going to send most of this money to Lennon and McCartney, as an example, as well as radio play. Then we have the topic of algorithms, which are basically computer language that are studying your every habit for one sole purpose: to sell advertising. So what makes me crazy is any business on the earth that leverages music to make a living. None of them have a reason to leave the driveway in the morning with a coffee and go to work until somebody writes a song, except often the creator of the music is making the least amount. Here's something interesting. There are a number of unions in the entertainment industry. Here are the unions. You have your musicians have a union. The singers have a union under the SAG-AFTRA. Directors in film have a union. Screenplay writers have a union. Producers of film have a union. You know who doesn't have a union? The songwriter. The actual creator. You can be a musician. You can't, if you're going to play a guitar, you need something to play. So you might have written it, but then again, then you are the songwriter. Nobody has anything to do or a reason to leave the driveway until somebody writes a song. But the songwriter doesn't have a union in that circle. In fact, what they do have is a copyright board with 3 judges in Washington that control copyright. It's an extremely outdated system. In my opinion, it can't be that hard to leverage and lobby 3 judges and the administration. I mean, look at what we just saw. The one lady who tried to speak up against AI tech companies illegally using copyrighted music catalog to train their AI on it for free without paying for it. So she spoke up about it. And the Trump administration fired her, or they tried to. I don't think I think she ended up not leaving the position. So this is the power that tech has and lobbyists have about controlling the originator, the inventor of the actual art. They also manage a lot of our royalties, mostly like mechanical royalties. So like a large, I don't know, maybe 75% of our income is kind of controlled by Washington and this copyright board. Can you think of anybody that you know whose actual income is set by the government outside of some government job entities? But like in the United States here would be, things like minimum wage or a court reporter. There is nobody in the entertainment sphere whose income is controlled by Washington. So to me, we're supposed to be in the land of the free and the free market and a capitalist society. There is nothing free market about being a songwriter, not in the United States. In fact, most countries pay out royalties for things that the United States doesn't, like composers who compose film music. They don't get paid for any theater play in the United States. They do get played everywhere else around the world. Performance royalties at concerts, you're supposed to get paid from the promoter, so that would be in most cases a Live Nation. The process looks like this. The artist or road manager or manager would make up a set list of the concert and say, here's the songs that were performed tonight, and the promoter is going to have to take a portion of tonight's earnings and pay ASCAP or BMI or CSAC to pay the songwriters and publishers for the license and to use this music tonight to make money from it. More than often, that set list never ever makes it to the PROs. That could be the fault of, sometimes it's the artists and their management team if they forget, or sometimes they say, the songwriters have made enough money, just put the songs on the set list that I wrote and just submit that one. Then the list makes it to, if it does make it to the promoter, then it's their job to turn it over to the PROs. Often they don't turn it over. I won't mention names, but I can tell you for a fact that there are some of the largest artists in history who have never had live performance set lists turned in to the PROs. Who didn't turn them in? Where in the chain did they get lost? That's for someone else to find out. But the songwriters of some of the biggest songs in history have never been paid for performance in the United States. But I will tell you, every time a song of mine is performed at a live concert, say in Canada or Denmark, I immediately can see it on my form where I get paid. So these are some of the behind the scenes things that the fans don't normally get to hear about. In fact, most artists don't know about that last little rant. We say music and hot dogs. Everybody loves them, but you don't ever want to see how they're made. Anyway, I just want to say thank you on behalf of all of us creators out there to the fans. Thank you so much for all that you do. And everyone, please have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
If today's episode lit a fire in you, don't let it fade. Subscribe to Sold for a Song, leave a review, and be the spark that helps others discover their own worth. And if you're ready to go deeper, visit TerrenceSawchuk.com. Let's build this movement together.